there are many such calls and initiatives. To me personally, what distinguishes Pope Francis is that he comes across as genuine in what he's calling and advocating. That's not always the impression one has when one listens to religious or leaders or politicians. But I think the consistency of Pope Francis' words and actions over a long period of time add credibility and humane dimension to what he does and what he says. And I think that's what distinguishes his message on this point from other similar messages. For me and for my community, this is more than a matter of theological or academic indulgence. From our vantage point, it's a matter of an existential matter. As you know, unfortunately, Balkans is known for conflicts. And one way of looking at the conflicts, especially in the 1990s, but even before, is to look at them as the conflict between two cultures: culture of division, culture of segregation, culture of exclusion, and culture of encounter and inclusion. And what personally I have been trying to tell my community, members of my community, and also try to communicate with others, is that God has wanted this world pluralistic. He wanted it different. He wanted it multi-religious. He wanted it multi-linguistic, multi-ethnic, multi-racial. And who are we to try to correct divine creation? Unfortunately, I can say this now, 25 years after the end of the conflict, convincing people that trying to undo what God wanted is not a very smart idea, is not a very pious idea, is not a very religious idea, and might be futile in the end, okay? Except that in the meantime, we will have a lot of casualties, a lot of suffering, a lot of misery. But I think, and this is what I appreciate in this call to culture, to develop culture of engagement, it realizes how difficult this is to convince people that we shouldn't be undoing divine creation. And we shouldn't be trying to undo the diversity in creation in many respects, linguistic, ethnic, religious. So I think this message comes at the right time, at least for our region. And I hope that more people hear it. I wasn't here most of the time of the conflict, so I can't say much about it. But since then, I have been involved in a number of initiatives. I would like to mention 2 global or international and 2 local ones. One of them was actually, it's a Georgetown University initiative, Building Bridges Forum. I've been part of it for almost 15, 16 years, on and off. And, I really appreciate being part of that, I would say, process, because when attending and talking to my Christian colleagues, and of course Muslim colleagues, but Christian colleagues most of all, I had a feeling at more than one occasion that I am meeting Christians that Quran talks about, Christians that are devout, that are God-fearing, and so on and so forth. So I really try to attend whenever I can, and the only time I miss annual meetings is when I feel that there is another colleague of mine who can make a better contribution to the topic of that is discussed in a given year. The other experience of mine with interreligious engagement, if you like, is World Council of Churches Pilgrimage of Peace and Justice. I've been part of that process for a few years now, and I tell you that seeing members of other religious communities suffering, struggling, seeing, for instance, Christian refugees living in the woods of northern Thailand for decades, actually, for generations, actually changed my perception about our world. Because usually, and statistics do say that Muslims are mostly refugees today, and they are the ones suffering. But then when you see Christians, you know, being treated the way they are and suffering the way, but also living through that suffering with dignity. It was really, for me, it was a transformative experience, and it was supposed to be a transformative experience. Or meeting through online meeting the members of the First Nations in Canada, and listening to what they have gone through over the past generations, and how they are dealing with their traumas, or listening to people in Fiji about, you know, the rise of the climate, the climate warming, global warming, and so on, and what it means for local communities there. All these have really helped me understand our world, understand my faith, and of course, understand the members of other religious communities, and get closer to them and what they are going through. So in a sense, all these experiences brought us together, closer together as one humanity. Locally, I have been most recently, just to mention two programs or projects. One of them is actually dealing with the Pope Francis' call to dialogue and culture of encounter. It's with a local, it is faith-based Christian organization run by members of the Franciscan community, bringing together members or pupils and teachers and managers from different schools in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and focusing on all types of issues, you know, from xenophobia to environment protection and similar issues. And it is really heartwarming to see these young people come together, work together in the midst of a politically very, very tense situation, unfortunately. The other program is master's program that we have at the University of Sarajevo, which is interreligious studies and peace building. It is master's program run by 3 theological faculties: Islamic faculty, Islamic studies, faculty of Islamic studies, Catholic theology faculty, and faculty of Orthodox theology. It's being offered now for 4 or 5 years, and I think it's unique in many respects, and I think that's also one way of promoting this culture of encounter, you know. So these are some of the recent experiences of mine, which I think relate to this call to culture of encounter. Frankly, first of all, I think we should, first of all, be aware and also kind of warn people who want to join this effort that this is going to be hard. And I think in some of the readings I have done, Pope Francis, you know, mentions that it's a hard job, because we have to be aware that a lot of energy and a lot of resources have been invested in the culture of conflict and division and exclusion. When you hear about, how many certain people and certain groups spend, how much money they spend on their political campaigns, which are exclusivist, and so on and so forth, you see actually we are against, I think, a formidable enemy. We understand some of those programs and projects are based on fear, and some of that fear is genuine. But this is not to denounce those people straight away, but this is just to say how challenging this is. But also, at least in my tradition, I think, and I trust there is similar, attitude in other religious traditions, including Christian, and that's what I understand from Pope Francis, is that Prophet Muhammad was saying that believer who mixes with people and endures the annoyance of, mixing and encountering them and learning about them and being sensitive and so on and so forth, is a better believer than the one who, secludes himself and prays alone and quietly and doesn't mix with people. So I think that's the first thing to have in mind, that this is not going to be easy, and this is not, we are here for a long haul. We have to take a deep breath and, get ready for something that is not going to give fruit, I think, tomorrow or after tomorrow. Second, when it comes to what to do and what resources to tap, I've been part of strictly theological dialogue, like building bridges, and I've been part of grassroots initiatives, which I mentioned, and in between educational and all other types of discussion and action. And I tend to appreciate each and every one of them, be it with youth, be it with theologians, be it with believing women. I think every one of those it's a puzzle, it's a mosaic, and then if we want to, complete it, we have to have all those bits and pieces filled and put together. So I think we need to unleash the energies of people, the potential, the creativity in what they can do and should do, but what they do need encouragement. They do need the kind of encouragement, because, at least speaking from my region, one has to understand that there is a lot of in-group pressure on people to stay with their group, don't go out, don't mix, don't build bridges. That actually can be sometimes even dangerous, not always, but, at least psychologically disturbing. So people need encouragement to go to, get up, to do things, to come across and extend their hand. So this is all I would say to what you just asked me about. Yeah.